California, stay away from here. Stay away from here now. Don't come in here. Whatever you hear, stay away. John Doe has the upper hand.
What's in the box?
Greetings, everyone. Steve, Paracords of Kindness. How you doing today? Hope your weaving's been happy. Okay, welcome to another edition of What's in the Box. Don't look at the box, man, but what's in the box? But as always, before we get to the one box and some packages, let me talk at you for a minute. Okay, welcome all the new subscribers. Thanks for subscribing. Throw it out there. This is simply me unpackaging, packages. Opening packages on camera. That's all this is. Somebody the other day said something about, they said, I think the tutorial's missing. And I had to explain to them, this is not a tutorial video. But, with that said, I'm going to kind of give a brief overview of a tutorial type thing. I haven't made a video. I thought about doing it. I hadn't made one yet. But stick around and you'll see. Hardcore Conquistador modification that I've done. But let's see, what do I normally do? I normally, show some of the stuff I've done since the last time I made one of these videos. Just kind of show it on camera, talk about the colors, that thing. Obviously I open up packages. And, I just simply talk about what's going on in my little corner of the paracord world. Thoughts I've had, this, that, what I'm working on, what I've ordered, why I ordered it. All that kind of stuff. I do a lot of color comparisons or anything like that. But with that said, let's see. I usually do a shameless plug. Yeah, I guess I do have one on today that I can give a plug for. This is basically a stitched trilobite with a little Molon Labs shank button. I've showed this in quite a few of my videos. I've talked about the shank buttons. You can go back and look through the playlist. What's in the box playlist? You find out about the shank button. Let's see. This right here, this is a... It's a mouthful, that's what it is. This is a stitched, modified, sanctified covenant. I did this one in maroon, blackish gray, and the stitching is charcoal gray. And I do have a tutorial for this one. It's a rather long tutorial because, obviously it's an intricate bracelet. Here, let me show you this. Somebody said something about doing one of these. I posted... I'll show you one I made just recently, and they made a comment. They said, "Yeah, I think I think that was going to be next on my list to try." And this person, I could tell from their work, they know what they're doing. They're not a beginner. So I told him, I said, "You probably won't have a hard time doing this." I said, "But here's a link to the tutorial that I made." I said, "The only thing that might trick you, or, catch you up, whatever, is this stitching that runs down the side. Not the part in the middle, but the two that runs down the side. Because to get it to fall into place, you kind of got to pull it, and it pops into place. And it can be a little tricky. And I told him, I said, if nothing else, watch that part of the video so you see what I'm talking about. Maybe that'll help you out a little bit. But yeah, I'll put the tutorial for this one, cards description below. Okay, now with that said, I'll say this like I say in a lot of my videos. When you watch a YouTube video, look at the description. And I don't just mean my videos, I mean any video, especially the tutorial videos or videos like this where they do a product review or something like that, which that's not what this is. But look at the description. There's often information, links to websites where people have bought stuff, all that kind of stuff. So, with that said, always look in the description, especially my videos. I put a lot of links down there. And there'll be some down there today because of, a lot of people ask me, when I get to it, I'll show you. Okay, let's see. With that said, what have I made in the past, I don't know, week or so? I don't even think it's been a week since I made one of these videos. I'll say this too. I'm supposed to be getting another package tomorrow from Paracord EU, which is where I order most of my, my buckles and my cord and things like that. And it's not a large order, but it's got some new colors for me in it. So, I'll most likely do the little color comparison. I'll take the colors that I've got in that package and compare them with colors I have. That way you as the viewer can see the colors under the same lighting and the same camera. That way, like I've said, I try to explain this. Some people understand this, and I don't think some people quite get this. When you go to a paracord company's website and you look at the picture of the paracord to see the color, what it looks like, oftentimes that is not a true representation of what it's going to look like when you get it in your hand. And it's no fault of the company. It's simply comes down to lighting, camera angle, all that kind of stuff when they take the picture of that cord, right? Because I know there's times I look at that picture and I'm like, well, that's really, really dark. Well, when I get it in hand, I'm like, yeah, it's not as dark as that picture. Lighting. It just comes down to lighting. So what I'll do when I get cord color in, I'll take it and compare it, lay it out right here in front of you in the same lighting, in the same camera, so you can see the different colors. Like, you know, it's 20,000 shades of blue. I'll throw a couple of them out there so you can see them and tell you what each one is. That way, if there's one of them that you have, you can see what it looks like compared to some of these others that you don't have and or possibly thinking of getting. Does that make sense? Color comparison. That's all that. That's what it is. Okay, now with that said, I harped on that enough. I know people probably hear me say this in every one of these videos. They get tired of it, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay, let's see. What else? What have I made? I made a lot of stuff, but most of it's been mailed out. So let's see. Where will we start? I'll start. I usually try to. Let's see. I'll start with this one. One of the groups I'm in, they do a weekly challenge, mostly every week. You know, most of the time they did it there every week for a while, and then they kind of got out of the habit of it, and they're trying to bring it back or whatever. But they do a weekly challenge every Friday morning. Either a bracelet, you know, something paracord related. Whether it was a bracelet, some sort of crazy keychain, key fob type thing, you know, whatever. And they just put it up there, and it was kind of, everybody do it, do your own take, share pictures. That way we can kind of learn and see what everybody's done with this, you know, the basic concept. And a lot of the members will take the basic concept in the video and add to it, modify it slightly or whatever. And it's a way of everybody in the group kind of feeding off of each other's ideas, learning from each other. You see does that make sense? Okay, well that said, this is what I've been wanting to do for a while, and I just never did it until somebody said, hey, here's the weekly challenge. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me do that one. That's one that I've been wanting to do, just never have done it. Let's see, the first one I did right here, and this is one of them new colors I got in last week. This is, you know, and obviously me, for those who don't know, normally when I do a weave for the first time, after I do that weave, first thing I do is I'll take out my stitching needle, or my fid, my lacing needle, whatever you want to call it, stitching needle, and I start trying to find a way to stitch it with microcord, okay? Now, I'll say this. This has come up in conversation the other day. When I say stitched, I know a lot of people use that term, but what I mean when I say that, as we say, let's define terms so you understand what I say. When I say it's a stitched such and such, what I mean by that is I weave the bracelet, then I come back after the fact with a piece of microcord, most often, sometimes it's 95, and I stitch or sew into it that piece of microcord. Right? Okay, now, with that said, this is a Gladiator by Cetus. Now, I have slightly modified it. If you've seen my post, it says stitched, modified it in parentheses slightly. Gladiator. Right? And what this is, let's see, I put it on a brown safe lock buckle, or a brown tactical buckle. It's actually technically a safe lock buckle. 20 millimeter, 3/4 inch equivalent brown safe lock buckle. And the color is ochre yellow, chocolate brown, and I stitched it in goldenrod. Kind of the fall type colors there. That's what I was going for. Okay, but I'll show you how I modified this thing. If you look at this, you can see, okay, if we take this piece of chocolate brown running here and the one next to it running the other direction, see how it forms a V. Okay, because this piece of brown is on the top of this piece of brown here, this one appears to be longer. It's not actually longer, it just appears that way because it's on top. You can see the full cord. The rest of this one is buried under there, so you don't see it, right? Well, the way this thing is done in the tutorials is every one of them, I don't remember which side, it doesn't matter, but every one of them on a specific side is the long side, right? And I'm like, yeah, that kind of looks asymmetrical, off balance, that type thing. So I slightly modified. I went through and I made it to where that long piece alternates. It was on this side the first time, and then the next repetition it's over here. You see what I'm saying? You got the short piece right here and the long piece here. And in the next repetition, the long piece is on the other side and the short piece is back on this side. Does that make sense? That's the only way, that's just the way I modified it. So it looks a little bit more symmetrical. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I like this weave very much, but that's what I did here. Let me get the light. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. But see that long piece on this side, this side, this side, this side, this side. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now I did that one. Now here's one I did this morning. I did it in the black and grays. Same weave. This one's on a black silicone buckle. When I say silicone, it's actually made out of stainless steel, but it's coated in silicone, as opposed to this one is painted. It's got less of a reflective glare on it. You see that? But the core strands are anthracite, it's black, and I stitched it in charcoal gray. And I did it the same way. Okay, there's that one. Alright, now, let's see. The mouthful bracelet. Stitched, modified, sanctified, coveted. Here's one I did. I did this one yesterday, I believe. In the greens. Black silicone buckle. What is this? Spinach green. The darker green down the edges and then down the middle is stealth olive. I'll get to that in a second. And it's been stitched in moss or moss green. Now here's the thing. I'm going to throw this out there. This stealth olive, it's a very dark green. When I first ordered it, I took it out. I was like, well, this looks black. And then I started comparing it to, and I was like, no. It's actually got a green. It's just really dark green. You know, you can see it here when it's up next to these other greens. But when I just had it in my hand, I was like, that's black. I'm like, no, it's not. Well, this is a polyester cord. So, for those who don't know, 99% of polyester cord is made by Atwood Rope, right? If you order, no matter where you order from, Paracord Planet, Paracord Galaxy, you know, all these U.S. suppliers, if it's polyester, 99% sure it was made at Atwood, okay? Now, I'll say this. About 99% of what Atwood makes is polyester. They do have some stuff that's nylon. But most of their stuff, the outer sheath is polyester. And the inner strands, the core strands, are nylon. Right? Okay. Well, I use a lot of this stealth olive. So if I want something more than 100-foot hank, nobody sells it. I go straight to Atwood because I don't normally buy from Atwood. Nothing against their company. I just don't normally buy stuff from them. But when I want a large amount, i.e. a spool of something I know they make, that's the only place you can get it from. You can buy a 100-foot hank of, all this cord that Atwood makes from all numerous suppliers. But if you want a spool, 300, 500 feet, whatever, 1,000 foot, however they sell it, a lot of it, you have to go straight to Atwood and order it. And that's just one of them. Right? Okay. And I've never bought this Stealth Olive because some of let's see. When I order a color, like a new color that I don't have in my inventory, I'll look to see if I can get it in 550, 95, and micro. Because I want it in all three sizes. Right? Okay, there are some, like this Stealth Olive. I've never had a reason, I never used 95 or micro. But the other day I thought, I bet you I can go to Atwood and get it. That way I would just have it in my inventory. Not that I had a specific reason to get it, but just so I would have it, right? So I go to Atwood, and, normally you can just type in, like, if you know the name of the color in the search bar, type in the name of the color, and it'll spit it back, and it'll give you whatever. Well, I typed in Stealth Olive. Nothing. And I'm like, what? That seems strange. So I went and looked. I started scrolling, and no, it's not that there's a listing, and it says out of stock. No, there is no longer a listing for Stealth Olive on their website. So, what does that mean? I don't know. Send them an email. I haven't heard back from them yet. Typical most companies. They don't respond to customers' emails. But I thought that was kind of strange. It could mean they're simply out of it. But if they were out of it, wouldn't there still be a listing on their site and it simply say out of stock? But if they're the company that actually makes the cord, why would they be out of stock? When they start getting low, they just crank the machines up and make more. Right? But there is actually no longer a listing for that color on their website. So that leads me to believe they are going to discontinue that color. And I hate that for me because that's one of my favorite colors. And to be honest, it's one of my best sellers. Because it pairs so well with these greens. And it maintains the overall darkness of the bracelet. The dark side of the color wheel, if you will. But now, if I can't get Stealth Olive, what am I going to do? I can shift all the colors from the really, really, really dark greens. I can shift them, but then it's not going to be as dark. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to see. I'm going to see what comes out about this. But I have a feeling they're no longer going to make it. Now, granted, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, there's that one. I made that one. That thing looks good, man. That thing looks good. Okay, there's that one. Okay, let's see. Let's see. The next one I did, I made... Okay, I'll show you guys this. I'll be honest with you. I've been doing this for a while, but there's some things that I've never made. I've never made such and such weave. I've seen it, just never made one. Or this or that and whatever. But I tell a lot of people, I don't work with shackles that much. Right? Shackles are not my thing. Because they tend to be hard to put on and off. You got one hand, you're trying to line all that stuff up, put the screw through there, and then tighten it up with only one hand. And it's not the easiest thing. It's not very practical. They look great. Them things are works of art, some of this stuff I see. But practically, they're not to wear, to get on and off. So I don't make them that much. But you know, I got some shackles. Speaking of which, that's some of what I'm going to show you. But I decided I wanted to try something. Don't do a lot of shackle work, so I've never done this. But I thought, you know what? I bet you this will make it easier to put it on and off. And it does. It does. I figured it would. It just makes sense when you see it. But I'd never done this, so I tried it. The basic, it's a fishtail with a cobra inlay, and it's maroon. It's stitched in anthracite, and then that spine piece running underneath it is charcoal gray. But I put kind of this. It's supposed to look like an air vent. No, I mean that kind of does, right? It's supposed to look like a wooden style shield bead, right? But I put it on a little silver shackle. But I did this loop with the cobra around it. The cobra weave around it. And that's what, I've never done that right there before. But I thought, you know what, that would probably most likely make it easier. Because remember, when putting this thing on your arm, you can't use this hand. It doesn't work. So you've only got one hand, and you got to put this piece through this first piece of metal, through the loop of paracord, and then get it to go through this little hole, and then you got to actually screw it in. You see what I'm saying? And that's not the easiest thing to do. Whether you put the screw on this side or this side, doesn't matter. It's not the easiest thing to do to get all that, to hold it and then slide that piece in there. But I've been wanting to do one of these. Let me zoom in. Maybe that'll... Oh, not out. In. Zoom in, Steve. You see what I'm saying? Because that gives that little loop a little bit of rigidity, a little bit of structure that holds it open. That way you can get that piece through there a little easier. And it does. It works. And now it makes sense. I've seen so many of these shackle bracelets that have this. And I was like, yeah, I bet you that's why they do that. Well, you know, obviously it looks cool. But yeah, there's a practical reason. It's easier to get. You know what I mean? But I'd never done that, so I did it. I did the diamond knot there, and I just kind of sat down to figure out how am I going to, the mechanics of doing all that. Well, I did. I sat down and figured it out. I probably didn't do it like a lot of people do, but I come up with it and I did it. But it turned out okay. I mean, this is the first time I ever done that, so, you know, it turned out okay. The bracelet is a little crooked right there, that spine piece. But, you know, but I got some more of these coming. But, yeah, that one, I like that one. I actually was wearing this one the other day. Okay, there's that. Okay, let's see. I made 2 keychains. Here's one I made recently. I've done this one before. This is a Vortex is what this is. For anybody who doesn't know, you can look up Vortex paracord bracelet. That's all that is right there. Right? You just set it up, 2 strand core, right? I got the 2 pieces of 550 acting as the core running down through there. I know it's what a snake knot. And I just did a vortex on it. It's about 3 inches of weave, 3.5, I don't know. It's right at the vortex itself, not the snake knots on either end, but the weave itself is about 3 inches. And this is, well, let's see, stealth olive, and right here we have olive drab, ochre yellow, and then moss green. You know, that ochre yellow, right, it's the same color. But pairing it with that, it kind of has, I mean, it does, when you look at it compared to other yellows, it looks like it's got a little bit of green in it. So I paired it with that. And, you know, it's just the old black bead on the end, diamond knot or whatever. I made quite a few of these. The other ones that I've made that are like this, if you've seen any where I've posted in them, this is a vortex proper, meaning it's got the, you know, the right or left-handed cobra knot, and then you double it. You know, you do it this way, bam. And you don't reverse it and go back like a normal cobra. You do it to the left, and then you go to the next color, right? The Vortex proper. The ones I've done in the past, I've only done that one cobra. Do it to the left, bam, go to the next color. Do one cobra knot, go to the next color. Do cobra knot, go to the next color. You see what I'm saying? Instead of having it double. You can do it either way. The results here, let me see. I got one over here, I think. I'll show you. I think I do. Where is it at? Oh, that's right. I got it hanging up here. I made one that's white and blue, and I hung it up so it wouldn't get dirty. It's all white except for that one blue cord, but it's the same thing. This one is just got one cobra, go to the next color. Cobra, go to the next color. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to this one where it's you do two cobras, go to the next color. Do two cobras, go to the next color. If you know how to do vortex, that will make sense. If not, go learn. It's very tricky to get this thing to even look right. But you see, for the most part, it doesn't change the way it looks. I know you can't see it very well because it's all in one color, but it doesn't change that little zigzag spiral pattern on it. You can do it either way. Let me hang this back up. I've got this hanging up above my desk because it's white and I don't want it to get filthy and dirty. Okay, now I did that one. Now I tried this one. Okay, I'll tell you, I did this one. I've done a bracelet like this in the past. What is it called? A zipper Senate or whatever. Now, somebody correct me if you know. Put it down in the comments. I always thought a Senate, when something was referred to as a such and such Senate or a such and such Senate, to me, I always thought a Senate was something that didn't have quote unquote core strands. Like normally you make it like a bracelet. Normally a bracelet, you set it up, you got two buckles, you set up your core strands between, and then you start weaving around it. I always thought a Senate was simply, you just start weaving the thing, or whatever, right? Either way, that doesn't matter. I don't know. I'm not the knot expert. Believe me, I'm not. I know some people think, no, I can make bracelets, I can look at a tutorial and make these things, and I'll sit and play with it until I figure out how to make that thing tighten up and look right. But I'm not an expert at this, by any means. But I've done a zipper Senate type bracelet. Didn't really like it. I didn't like the way it weaved together and trying to get it to be even. I didn't like it. But I've been wanting to do one of these, and I did finally. And it's a zipper Senate, but again, you've got, what is this? Blackish gray, maroon, and anthracite. And this blackish gray is two, piece of 550 acting as a core that the zipper Senate is wrapping around, right? And I've seen this, never have done one. I wanted to try one, so I did. And it's okay. It's got like a little Spartan helmet bead on it, with the two holes at the top or whatever, and a diamond knot. But I've been wanting to try this, and it turned out okay. But it's crooked. If you look at it, you can see how there's like the red edge. It's not the straightest thing right there. It's all bumpy and lumpy. When you look at it straight ahead, it's not that bad. It's like I said, like I've said in the past. You look at a bracelet this way or a weave or whatever like this, looks pretty good. But when you tilt it up and you look down at it at an angle, you can see all them little imperfections. See what I'm saying? This one is not that great. But like I said, that's the first time I've ever done one of these zipper Senates on a keychain. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like that. Now, I did a practice run in some 550. I don't even know where. I think I may have taken that apart. I did the same thing with a piece of 550 instead. This is 95 right here. But I did like a little practice run with some 550. And I looked at it, and I'm like, well, that kind of just looks like a 4-strand round braid. Similar to a 4-strand round braid, But anyway, I decided to try this, give it a go. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that. Just because I don't have it. It's not neat, clean, and tight. For those who watch my channel, I want it neat, clean, and tight, and that did not turn out neat, clean, and tight. So I need to work on that one. Okay, there's that. Okay, now here's the one that I wanted to show. This is the little kind of mini tutorial. I'm going to back out so you can see this. Okay, I made 2 of these so far. And I started thinking, let's see, do I have one? Hang on a second. I'll show you the basic model. Where's it at? Okay, is that it? Yeah, there it is. The basic model. A hardcore conquistador. Been wanting to make one of these for so long, and then I think Alpha One just recently put a tutorial on his channel, or a new tutorial for this weave, and I thought, yeah, let me give it a go. So I did, but it's called a hardcore conquistador. Now this one is black silicone buckle, blackish gray, and then the sides are maroon, right? Okay, now even though this is called a hardcore conquistador, it is not woven like a conquistador. It's not. It kind of has the similar look, but it is not woven the same way. And this is a seedless weave. And I don't know why he called it a hardcore conquistador, because that lends to confusion. People see the name of this and and it looks similar, and they think no, this is not a conquistador. Normally is not done on core strands. You simply start weaving. There's no core, no nothing. You attach it to a buckle and you start weaving, and it loops in and around itself. And you just weave it until you get it to the length you want it, and then you weave it onto a buckle. Right? This one is not that way. This one, you set up core strands. In the case of this one, there's 4 core strands. And each one of these core strands gets one of these colors wrapped around it. If you look, you see there's a core strand on this outer edge, and that's what this maroon is. That's 1 cord of maroon wrapped around it. Right? On this side right here. Okay, now I know in the middle, if you look, let's see if I can make this distinction so you can see it better. If you look at this thing, okay, you see how you have that row of gray, and then you have the next row of gray, then you have the next row of gray, and the next row of gray. Okay? So, if you look at it, right there in the middle, the halfway, the center point, those 2 rows of gray are 1 cord. It just goes one direction, the other direction, and that creates that effect. Little half moons, whatever you want to call them. All right, that's one side. Now, the other, and there's 1 core strand that those are wrapped around. Okay, now, go to the other side. All right. That first row of gray, second row of gray. And we split it right down the middle, right down the center point. Those 2 rows of gray are wrapped around another core strand. You see that? So you got core strand, core strand, core strand, core strand. And each core strand has 1 cord that's being wrapped around it. Now, they're all intertwined as you're doing it. That's what all this on the back is. They're being intertwined together so it holds it together. But we see that. So you got a row of maroon, a row of blackish gray, another row of blackish gray, and a row of maroon. 4 rows, 4 core strands. Right? And I thought, there's got to be a way. I said, I guess if you made it, set it up on a 6-strand core, you could add another piece in there, and you could add, potentially a different color. That's where my mind was going. I'm like, well, you could do it. I said, but then what you would end up having is a row of, let's just say, for example, I'm going to add white. You'd have a row of maroon, a row of blackish gray, and then you'd have 2 rows of white, and then a row of blackish gray and a row of maroon. And I'm like, yeah, that might look okay, but I was like, you know what? I said, I bet you could do just one piece instead of making it going from a 4-core strand to a 6-strand core. You could do it where you could just add 1 cord right there in the middle and have it act as another core strand. Therefore, you could have 5. So you would have maroon, blackish gray, white, blackish gray, maroon. Right? And I'm like, well, how would you do that? I'm like, well, Sanctified Covenant. Just add you that spine piece or whatever, and just interweave it just like you normally would. I'm like, okay, well, that's what I ended up doing. Now, I'll show you. You can do this however you want. This is just, I'll show you what I did, okay? Now, a lot of us know when you do like a Sanctified Covenant, depending on whose tutorial and how you do it, they'll wrap it around this buckle. They'll go through this slot, and they'll wrap it around the buckle, and they'll go up, and they'll go through the slot, and all that kind of stuff. What ends up happening is you have these 4 colors, or 2 colors, these 4 pieces going through that slot of 1 color, and then you have that spine covenant piece that's going through there. This is a different color, and it's going through that slot. And I don't like that. If at all possible, I want these to be the same. Now, granted, there are some weaves that it's just the way it is. You're going to have different colors, right? But I just don't like having that covenant piece go through. I want that covenant spine piece like, for example, this piece right here, it terminates, it goes through the bracelet before you get to the end of the bracelet. Does that make sense? Now, it's kind of crooked up here, but you see what I'm saying. It doesn't go up and over and through the shackle. That was what it would look. I don't like that. Okay? So, you'll see some of my tutorials. I'll do it that way to start off. And when I get done, I'll come back and I'll take it out of that, pull it back through the slot, and push it down through the bracelet itself at the top, where I started weaving, and at the bottom where I finished weaving. I may start it off in that slot, but I'll pull it out and push it back through. Does that make sense? Well, I started thinking, I said, well, how can I do this? How can I do this? This is what I ended up doing. I'll show you. This is what I did. There's all kind of ways to set your jig up, do this, do that. You can probably, whatever. This is what I ended up doing. I got a hook. I got quite a few of these hooks. I use them. I've got a few different little ways I set up my jig. Most of the time I just use these buckles and go with it. Different sizes, buckle, and just go with it. But I got some of these hooks that I use. These would be the same things like using a nail or a straight up peg that you wrap around. It's the same kind of concept. But what I ended up doing is I set it up and I ran that piece, that center piece, I'll show you in a second. It just goes up. I set up a 4-strand core like you normally would. And I ran that middle, which was going to be the 5th core strand, up, went through that buckle and come out, and I wrapped it around here. If you've seen some of my tutorials, you'll see. I'll wrap it around this piece of plastic. And then take and pinch it, and it holds that. That way there's some tension. And then I took the end of it. Actually, I did it the other way around. I started down here when I did it. But I just take the end of the piece, tie a little knot loop in it, and just looped it on that. So it goes up over the top of my jig. It doesn't go through there. It just runs up. And then I fed it down through there and did all this up here. That way it would keep tension on that 5th piece. That 5th quote-unquote core strand. Right? And then I just weaved, and I just weaved with it. Make sense? Okay. So, the first one I did, I'll show you. I call this, when I post it, I always call this a pastel blue buckle. Actually, it's just a blue silicone safe lock buckle. Right? But it has a pastel feel. And this is, what is this? Polar blue on the edges. And then pastel blue. And then that middle piece is just, quote unquote, dip dye pastel rainbow. And I used that piece so it would get that rainbow stripe effect down in the middle. So you look at it, like when I posted it on Facebook or whatever, you could see that. That's about all you could see, the picture. You're like, you don't really quite see it. So you lay it out there like that, you see the full effect of it. It's a rainbow down the middle. I made that one for my other half. So you can see it on this back side. Right, okay. That was my proof of concept, if you will. Then I made one, same principle, I just used the different colors. Brass buckle, brush brass, safe lock buckle, midnight blue, smoke gray, and gold. Which I use these colors quite often. They look so good together. But I've had a few people ask me how I did that, and I told them, I said, just create a 5th core strand, kind of like a Sanctified Covenant, and that's what you end up using in the middle to get that extra piece. Now, I think what I may end up doing is making one like this and setting it up on a 6-strand core. Because I'll say this, the core strands themselves are the smoke gray color. All 4 of the 4 strands of the core of this are this smoke gray, right? And you don't really see them. You can kind of see them right here on the sides, on the edge, but in this middle section, you don't see them. But this is what I'm thinking about doing. Setting it up as a 6-strand core. And what you'll have is your first accent piece on this one is midnight blue. It just runs through the hitches up here and comes out both sides. But then, instead of making this one piece of gold in the middle, making it, could be a lot of ways to do this. Running it through this hitch and have 2 pieces coming out of the same color. But have that piece in the middle, instead of having 1 row of gold, you're going to have 2 rows of the same color. And have that color match this color. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to have a little bit wider bracelet. Down the edges and right in the middle is going to be the same color. And you're going to have 2 stripes of a different color. Make sense? Or you could get even real fancy with it. And this piece of midnight blue, take 2 pieces of different color and, Manny method, hook them together however, and put that melding, welding joint up here in the hitch. That way you got 2 colors coming out. And then do that middle one also that way. And if you get real technical, you could do it with this. What I'm getting at is, you could end up, if you sat down and thought about it, you could do like, let's say, for example, black and grays, because I have quite a few of them. I have black, and right next to it, a very, very dark gray, a little bit lighter 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 gray. That way it goes from black to real light gray in a grading all the way across the bracelet. Make sense? Or you could do it where you have like, black on the outer edges, and it gradually fades to a lighter gray toward the center. Or you could do black in the center and have it fade out. Each row fades out to a lighter gray on either side. You see what I'm saying? All these possibilities. You just got to stop and think about it. Okay? Now, how do I orientate my cords in such a way as that when I weave it, that's what I'm going to get. Make sense? Okay. This is what keeps me up at night. Or should I actually say, this is what I think about when I fall asleep at night. That kind of stuff. Okay, that's all the stuff I've made. Now, I've been talking for 45 minutes. I don't have that much, really. Most of it's just some basic stuff. But I'll show you what I've got. I ordered these. These came in, was it yesterday or the day before? And I went ahead and opened them. These are just some bronze, brass, antique brass. I don't know what they're actually. Shackles. With an adjuster with a big hole. That way you can run 2 cores through there so you can set up, instead of just 2-strand core, you can have a 4-strand, 6-strand core. Yeah, 6-strand core. I think I've set up was it a 6 or an 8-strand core on one of these top? I did it. Don't ask me how. I don't remember. But I think I may have a picture saved somewhere of how I did that. It was either a 6 or an 8-strand core I set up. And I'm like, let's try it. Yeah, I did it just to see if I could do it. But yeah, I got a couple of these. Now, I got more than this, but I just grabbed these out of my inventory over there. But I got, I don't know, a handful of them. But there's that. Okay. I'll show this. I've made some of these in the past. I think that's what this is. Let me make sure that's what this is first before I start talking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I made some of these. I don't have any on me right now. But these are what, I don't know, I guess you'd call them medical ID tags. And these are all, yeah, I only ordered 3 of them. Wow, that's not black. That's brown. Still looks good, though. I know it's kind of hard to see because of the glare, but it says type 1 diabetes, insulin dependent. It's like a medical ID tag. You put it on a bracelet. I often just put them on keychains. Now, I put a few on bracelets, but most people don't wear the same bracelet all the time because I'll do it in color. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put it on a keychain. Right? I'll weave this into a keychain. That way they'll have it on their keys. Makes sense? And it can come in handy. And believe me, I am my wife's daughter. She is a type 1 diabetic. I'm a diabetic. Not a type 1, but I am a diabetic. So, I try to watch what I eat. But I ordered a couple of these. I was getting low on these, and I ordered some. I got 3 of them. I said, I don't make a lot of these. Most of these, when somebody sees a keychain or a bracelet that I've made for somebody here locally, they'll go, ooh, where'd you get that? That's nice. And that person will say, get in touch with this guy. And bam, I get an email or a phone call or whatever, and somebody's wanting one. I sit down and do a consultation with him. What colors? What do you want? Bracelet, keychain, all that kind of stuff and whatever. But I ordered a couple more just to have them. I was getting low. Like I said, I don't use them very much, but I wanted to have. I don't like running out, just in case. Because if somebody says, "Hey man, can you make me one?" Yeah, it'll take me 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It don't take 2 weeks, but it'd be 2 weeks before I get the parts in. I hate telling people that. Then they're like, "Oh." And they said, well, never mind. No, so I can make it. I have it made in 2 days. I can get it to you I can ship it to you. You'll get it within a week. Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead then. You see what I'm saying? If you already have it in stock, so to speak. But there's that. Okay. What's next? This one right here is nothing big. This is just some shackles. Like I said, I've used a couple. I've sold a couple. So, you know, I went ahead and ordered some more. Just to have. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this, too. We're going to see about this. Knife sharpener. Coarse and fine, you know, whatever. And it's got the little... For anybody who knows, how do you get it? How do you turn this thing? You got to press a button. How do you do that? Yeah, there we go. Which is a little tough. Gives it a square base. That way when you sit it down and you put your knife and rake it through there, whatever. And I thought, yeah, I've got some of these in the kitchen, not this brand. But I was like, they sell this on that website. Hey, let me order one and I'll see what it's all about. And I'll leave it out here in the shop with me. Yeah, that thing's a little tight. That's all it is. That's all this is. It's got a little rubber thumb where you can hold it and keep it kind of stable when you do it. But I figured I'd try that thing out. Okay. Then I got these right here. I've gotten some of these from some other places. What is this like? Oh my gosh. If anybody's familiar, that just looks my old self, my old life. That makes me think of something right there. Ugh. We won't go down that road. But these are basically just little skull beads that this company sells. Paracord Galaxy, that's where I got this from. Just shiny silver. I don't know if they actually... Let me see, does it say on the invoice what they are? Oh, no, that's not it. I don't know if they're made out of stainless steel or what they are. I think they are. No, well, the invoice just says silver skull beads. But I've got some, and they looked very similar to the ones I already had. Just basic little skull beads with a... What is that? Like an 8mm hole, I think is what it is. You can easily fit 2 pieces of 550 paracord through there. But that's all it is. And that was what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You order it and you get 5 of them. It's like a five-piece lot is what it is. Those are not bad. Okay, let's sit those over here. Okay, now here's all these shackles. I just re-upped. I went ahead and ordered a couple. Oh, I see. They put them. All I did was order 2 of each. They sent them all separate pieces with a knurled edge. I'll be honest with you, I don't like these right here with this little. I know some people will attach something to that hole when they use these, and that's fine, you know. And I've made a few like that, but I just don't like that handle right there. I prefer the little knurled knob. Why? If you go to wear one of these, and you wear it like this, right, to screw and unscrew. Now, you can wear it the other way, but that's kind of hard to get to, whatever. It doesn't matter, though. But if you wear it this way, and you've got that piece on there, what can happen is that when you go to bend your wrist or something, that thing can dig into your wrist, and it can hurt. If it's done, you know, if that bracelet's a little tight and you're wearing it and it's in the right place and you put your hand down on something or something, it's not a sharp edge, but it can dig in your wrist and it hurts. I've learned from experience. So I don't like those. I like the ones that have this little knurled edge. You get a hold of it a little easier, and it's not as much of a protrusion, and you know it's rounded, if you will, right? But you know, I just ordered 2 of the regular shackles, 2 of the bow shackles, and then I seen the adjusters, which these are the large hole. They got the 3 holes and then the 1 large hole adjuster individually. Now the black ones, the same thing, they're just black. Large hole adjuster on the back side. I know you can't see that very well. Large hole, Nord edge, U shackle. 3 hole. 1 is in, 2, 3. Right? Now it's got 2 of those because I don't use these very much. And then 2 of the bow shackles, or bow. I don't know how you pronounce it. How would you pronounce it? Bow shackle or bow shackle? Same thing, but the shackle is rounded as opposed to being U-shaped. And I needed some Imperial Red micro cord, so I went ahead and got that. That was it. That's all I got from them. Okay. That's that. What's next? This right here, let's see. Yeah, this right here. This is some of that AliExpress stuff. I don't know exactly what this is going to be, but we're going to find out if I can get into this little box right here. I think it's going to be some more of these little dragon beads that I've ordered, but I think it also is going to be hence why I got a knife sharpener to leave out here on my desk. This knife holds an edge, so. Oh my goodness. How many of these did I order? Wow. Did I order that many of these things? Let me look. Huh. I only ordered. Let me bring them. I can't see. Hang on. Give me a second, folks. These little guys right here. These right here. You've seen these. Where's my keychain at? I'll show you these again. I talked about these things. A little dragon bead. Right? 5 more of them. That's all that is. Right? Okay, now, and then this thing, that's what that is. Now this, I wanted to get a hold of these. And I wanted to actually see. I know you can't see this. Let me zoom in. Maybe you can see this a little bit better. It's supposed to be like the shape of a shield. With like a dragon. I know it's not going to focus. But it's supposed to be a dragon on a shield, right? And I wasn't quite sure how the holes were going to be, because the picture, well, I could tell that the holes were running this way. You know what I'm saying? From the top, bottom of the shield to the top. But I wasn't sure how big and all that kind of stuff. So it's got 2 holes. And I don't know what size holes those are. They look like about a 4mm hole. It's bigger. The hole in this is 3mm. I can already tell you. I know. And I struggled trying to put some 550 through the first hole, but then the second hole. But this is a 4mm hole. So what my plan is, now that I see how it's the hole orientation, come on, focus, man. There we go. But now that I see the way the hole is orientated and the size of the hole, which I looked at it and looked at all the little pictures or whatever and read the description trying to discern, and this is what I thought I was going to get, right? I wasn't quite sure the size of the holes, and I think these are going to work nicely. What I'm going to try to do with this is make one of these. And just put that bead on there like that. That would be the first thing. You know, something like that. Now, I would prefer it to be orientated that way, but it's okay. I can do it that way. And then, you know, potentially maybe something like this. You know, a lot of times you'll see the person, when they make these, they'll put the bead right next to the shackle. And I may do something like that with one of these. I don't know. We're going to see. But I wanted to get a few. And here's the thing. I ordered 5 of them. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I ordered. But I got 5 more. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating the fact. They sent me. Don't know why. Like I said, not complaining. I'll use them. And I think I only ordered 5. They weren't that much. I said, let me order those. I'll get them in hand, see what they look like. And I think they have some different colors, you know, like red brass, black brass, that kind of thing, whatever. So I may end up ordering some more, but I'm not sure. Okay, sorry about that, folks. I was trying to zoom out and I accidentally stopped the camera. But I guess it's okay because I'm done. That's the last bit of the stuff. I was trying to zoom out. And that's all I got today. I didn't, you know. But I'm gonna play around with these because these are new. I mean, all this stuff over here I've used before, shackles and everything. This is basically kind of like just restocking my inventory. But these were something new, so I'm gonna play around with these. Got some things I got to take care of. Quote-unquote paperwork, I should say. Paperwork when it comes to all this. Some notes and some things I got to do. But when I get a chance, I'm going to play around with these things. And I'm going to see what I can come up with. And I'll eventually make something. But I'm going to end this one with like that. Like I say, I got another package. It's going to be some cord. It's actually some cord and some colors and stuff. So I'll probably do some color comparisons in the next video. I'm not going to say the stuff's going to show up tomorrow. Now, when am I going to get this uploaded to YouTube? Not sure. I'll get the other one filmed tomorrow, but when will I get it uploaded to YouTube? Not sure. Usually that day or the day after. I try to be pretty quick about these things. But in the next one, I'll have some actual cordage and some colors. But I'll end this one like I end them all. Keep it neat, keep it clean, and keep it tight. Happy weaving, folks.